in Mauritius, it's a little bit like that also. People, Haribol, you know. But to actually do it seriously and get lots of people, you have to do it. Somebody has to do it, has to organize it, and go out and preach and make the sacrifices. And Krishna's just looking for people who are willing. And as soon as you're willing, Krishna makes the arrangement. Now, the word willing is interesting because I think all of us have some resistance to fully giving ourselves to Krishna. It may be a little resistance, it may be a lot of resistance, but the less resistance we have to giving ourselves fully, then the more Krishna empowers us. And the one who has no resistance, who is transparent, Krishna gives him the most power, and that was Prabhupada. So Krishna gave everything to Prabhupada. He had only one desire. Krishna's desire, his Guru Maharaj's desire, and his desire, they were all on the same wavelength. Just like Krishna has his desire, Prabhupada has his desire, your Guru has his desire, and you have your desire. Right? So it comes down like this, then it hits you and it kind of starts wiggling. Right? That's called conditioned soul. Well, you know, I don't know if I can do this, but I can do that, or I can try to do this, and, you know. Or you hear an instruction and it enters your consciousness and it comes out differently than when it went in because you still have resistance. You're still not transparent. It still goes through your own desires. Now, Guru Maharaj, if I understood correctly, you said, no, I didn't say that at all. How did you understand that? And you're trying to think, how did I understand that? And he said he didn't say that. I thought I heard that. No, it's gone through your system, right? So in Prabhupada's system, it was just lined up. It came down straight and it went to him and it went straight out. Right? And that's why he was so successful, because Krishna's desire and Prabhupada's desire, they were the same. Prabhupada didn't have anything in the way. You know, we have some, well, I'll do this, but I also, you know, I need to take care of this, and I want to do that, and I'm concerned about this, and what about that, and what if this happens, and Prabhupada wasn't like that. You know, obviously practical concerns are there, but in terms of personal desire, it was just, Krishna wants to save the world, and that's what I want to do. And so Krishna said, okay, here you go. There was a nice conversation. Achyutananda, he was one of the first devotees. And he was at a meeting of devotees who were talking about Gopi Bhav. What's Gopi Bhav? Gopi Bhav, you know, the emotion of the gopis, you know, the love of the gopis. What is it? How do you get it? And, you know, they're having this discussion. So he was really frustrated because the nature of the discussion was so not typical of the way Prabhupada spoke. And he said, if you want to know what Gopi Bhav is, I'll tell you what it is. You get on a boat from India with no money and you risk your life to spread, you come to New York with nothing and you risk your life on the order of your Guru to spread Krishna consciousness. That's Gopi Bhav. Isn't that nice? So, you know, when somebody is that transparent and so willing to do that, then Krishna says, I found the right person. He's the right person. So with this person, we can go every town and every village. Of course, Prabhupada, as we're saying, he never thought he's the right person. He just thought it's Guru Maharaj's mercy. But I think it's obvious that it had to be the right person. That, you know, someone else could have come, maybe start a temple here or there, but to get thousands of people to surrender and to guide them and set up a organization that could continue and help people become purified enough that they could be examples for others, they could guide others. Yeah, like Prabhupada was here for like a week and he inspires a few people who inspire a few others, No, he's not here, but it's going on. You know, he has to be able to inspire a level of purity that enables us to guide other people back to Krishna. And so that's not what anybody can do. I mean, anybody can preach, but to do that requires a very high level of purity and dedication. So that's the example we have for us in front of us, that if you become a pure devotee like Prabhupada, then Krishna can utilize you. And if you become proud, then you kind of become useless, because Krishna says, he's useless. I can't give him any Shakti. He'll just become proud. He'll misuse it. He'll turn against others. He'll say, I'm better than you. So, one important lesson for us to learn is, if anyone says, I'm better than you, be very suspicious of that person. Be very suspicious of their Krishna consciousness. If they say, I'm better than you, what I'm doing is right, what you're doing is wrong. And it gets really scary when it's an organization that says that. And we have unfortunately seen many of our devotees have left ISKCON and started their, not many, but some have started their own organizations. And most of them typically would put ISKCON down. It's like this, ISKCON this, ISKCON that, GBC this, GBC that, and they don't understand this, that. And what they say, in many cases, may actually be true, but it's not the temperament of a Vaishnava to do that. It's the temperament of a Vaishnava to say, why did you start your own movement? To say something like, because I'm so fallen, I can't cooperate with anybody, and I had to start my own. That's what a Vaishnava would say. As this, I saw problems in ISKCON, I became puffed up, proud, arrogant, and I knew if I stayed in ISKCON I would just offend everybody, and I'm so independent and proud, I just have to start my own organization. Now that's good. You say that, at least we feel like, okay, this is amazing devotee, But why did you start your own organization? Because ISKCON's bad, this and that, they're not following Prabhupada. That's not exactly what a Vaishnava does. It's not his mood. And you might say, but Prabhupada said that about his godbrothers and their failing of preaching. But Prabhupada explained to us, he said, he only did that to show us that they went this way and I need you to go this way. And this is what happened when they went this way. But we see Prabhupada in his mood of a preacher, at the end of his mood of a devotee, at the end of his life, he said, I had to do this to clarify for my disciples, you please forgive me, I made offenses to you. So that's the bhava of Vaishnava. So in the mood of serving his disciples, he took on this other mood. But of course, we know he was never proud. But unfortunately, a lot of devotees take on that mood. Well, Prabhupada did it, so they're like chastising godbrothers, and GBC's this, and ISKCON that. It's okay to do that if you're working in ISKCON and your heart is to improve it. But when you're outside and you're not part of it, then you do that. It's not typical of the mood of a Vaishnava, behavior of Vaishnava. So I would just say we should be wary of anyone or anything that is a little too opposed, or a little that doesn't exemplify the kind of humility that Prabhupada exemplified, and the kind of humility that we're taught to exemplify. So, and what we're learning here is, when you're better, you don't say you're better. So people maybe, I appreciate so much preaching that devotees are doing outside of ISKCON, whatever. It's not that I'm saying they're not great devotees, but we should understand if something's wrong, if the mentality is, I'm better than you, our organization is better than you, our temple is better than yours, unless it's done with love and affection as competition to inspire. then it's okay. Our temple's better than you. We're going to distribute more books than you. Come on, guys. What are you going to do about it? So now I'm trying to enthuse you. I'm not proud. I'm just, I'm using transcendental tactics to inspire you. That's different. But if I say things like, what have you ever done for Prabhupada? What has your temple ever done? What has your organization ever done? What has your group ever done? That's not Vaishnava. Vaishnava is, I have done nothing. Let me serve you. That's Vaishnava. Right? So that's what we're trying to learn. And of course, we know that is really difficult to have that mentality. But I think one thing that's important for us, and Prabhupada has done this in his books, he's always set the benchmark. This is the standard. Because you have to know the standard. Because if you don't know the standard, then how do you know what you're trying to achieve? So I may be down here because this is where I'm at now, but I need to know this is what I should be doing. This is the standard. So if you're clear on the standard, then when you're not doing it, you become more aware that what you're doing is wrong. Does that make sense? Like, let's say you're cooking, but you don't know this, like how to make a certain preparation. So you're cooking it. Like, I know how to make really good halva. You want to know how to make really good halva? I will tell you. This is how I do it. I used to cook halva for the deities every day. This is how you do it. Considering you know all the proportions of ingredients, you can always add more butter, but don't add less. 1 stick. You have sticks of butter here, or comes in kilos, half kilo? Stick is like
100 grams maybe.
Yeah, 100 grams. Yeah. So 1 stick per cup. I think in cups. You think in cups, or you think in milliliters? Like 5, whatever, like a quarter of a liter, 1 stick, something like that. And then twice the water as the semolina. Then you put the butter in, and then you cook it in the butter, and you have the flame on high, and you're cooking. And when you first cook it, it won't get brown, even if the flame is on high. As soon as it starts, you see the first grain get brown, turn the flame down really low. And then cook it for like 20 minutes, slow toast it. So like, for example, if you give me halva, this is my experience, 80% of the time it's not made that way. About 20% of the time, Mahaprasadam, halva, it's really good. But in around where there's, Hindus, they don't cook it like that. They either burn it, cook it, or they toast it for a few minutes. So it's kind of like cereal. It's not really toasted. The flavor comes out in the toasting. So if you taste my halva, I don't know, maybe some of you have tasted it before, as I used to cook for the deities. But now it sounds like I'm proud, but I'm just giving an example. You also put a little saffron in and use brown sugar, and then you can use raisins, nuts, whatever you want, strawberries, blueberries. But the toasting is important. And once you taste halva cooked, now I don't say my halva, but if you taste halva cooked that way, then if you taste the other halva, which is light and it's like cereal, you immediately understand this is not halva. But you would never understand that unless you taste my halva, right? So Prabhupada's doing that in his books by establishing this is pure bhakti. It is endowed with humility. It is endowed with appreciation. It is endowed with pure motivation. You know exactly what it is. So when you know what it is, then when you're not doing it, immediately you think, oh, this is wrong. But if you don't know what it is, then you do the wrong thing, and you think, well, everybody does that. I'm not doing anything different than any other devotee's doing, which might mean all the devotees are doing the wrong thing, and they don't know. Does that make sense? like I teach japa workshops, and one of the things I point out are the wrong ways to chant and the right way to chant. So I try to do the same halava thing. I say, this is halava japa. This is how you cook japa properly. And this is what halava japa looks like that's not cooked properly. So after the workshop, a lot of devotees say, I never realized that what japa is. I never knew that this was japa. I wasn't really chanting. It's like, I never knew how to cook halava until you showed me. I thought I was cooking it, but I didn't know. I really wasn't cooking it. I didn't know because I didn't see any better halava. So this is how I've always chanted, so I thought this was good. And now you showed me how to chant better, so now I realize this is the standard. So that's what we want in our life. What is the standard? Okay, so now I'm very clear this is the standard. And so when I'm down here, I know it's clear. I'm down here. Otherwise, I'm eating the other halava, and I think that's what halava is. Right? And I'm down here, and I think that's the standard. So therefore, Prabhupada, he's always showing us this is pure bhakti. So you ever catch yourself saying, I'm better, this is better than that, just be aware that's not the way a devotee thinks. You catch yourself putting somebody down, be aware that's not the way a devotee thinks. A devotee puts somebody up, he doesn't put him down. Right? That naturally we put people down. That's our nature. Because that puts if you put someone down, that puts you up. And we all want to be up. But when you become a devotee, you switch it. You want to put other people up, and you want to be below them. That's not a conditioned response. That's a devotional response. So by nature, you want to put yourself up and other people down. Now you know the standard. So now you become a devotee. And when you start doing that, you think, oh, this is not what a devotee does. You turn it upside down and say, let me just appreciate this devotee. And let me put myself below. I'm a servant. That's proper mentality. So if we don't do that, then we could say, maybe we don't know the standard. Maybe we don't realize that this is what it means to be a devotee. Or maybe we realize it, but we don't want to spend the money. What do we say? We don't want to put out the money to come to that level. We don't want to do what you have to do. It's too hard. Or you just don't want to do it because it's not attractive. So that's what we're dealing with. Yes? So you have any questions? Have any answers? You understand the point? You have to know the standard. It's very important. And the more devotees follow the standard, the easier it is for everybody else. If nobody's following the standard, very few follow the standard, then you think, that's just for a few people. We're just ordinary devotees. The senior devotees, yeah, they're following the standard because they're very advanced. But as far as all of us, you can't really expect us to be like that because we're just ordinary devotees. We should never think that way. There may be some truth in that temporarily you're going through a stage of purification, so you're not going to be up here. But your eyes have to be up here. You see? So maybe you say, look I'm just been a devotee 5 years, 10 years. I'm not that advanced. Okay. We'll acknowledge that. But you're down here. The standard's up here. So at least your eyes should be up here. So you should know. That's where you're supposed to be. And don't just say, no, I'm just, Prabhu, you know the Mauritians, you know what the devotees say. Prabhu, you know what the Mauritians are like. So that is a sutra, which means don't expect us to be very Krishna conscious. Right? Isn't it? We Mauritian, we are like this. Do not expect us to be very Krishna conscious. It is not possible. You see? And then you don't want to say that. You want to say, okay, I'm here. This is what Prabhupada said I should be. I acknowledge I have my defects, but I don't want to say that I can't be here, and this is not the goal. I want to say, this is where I'm going. This is where I'm heading. Right? That's it. Don't ever say, well, this is what I'm like, so don't expect. No, why would Prabhupada give us these goals if he didn't expect us to eventually come there? And he's also telling us that Krishna consciousness will take you there. So then you have to think, well, if I'm not getting there, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Because I should be getting there, right? I mean, I've been a devotee for a while. I should be better off than I was 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago, even a week ago. In theory, I should be better this week than last week. But at least if you give it a few years and you say, I should be better. And if I'm not, then maybe I'm doing something wrong. Yes? It is possible. Now, let's say you say, Prabhu, you shouldn't be like this. And you say, yes, but, we Mauritian people, this is what we're like. Now, could you imagine telling that to Prabhupada? And Prabhupada saying, you have these faults, and you say, yes, Prabhupada, but we Mauritian people, this is what we're like. You wouldn't say that. You would say, yes, Prabhupada, you are right, and we need to improve. We need to change. So yesterday in the workshop, we were talking about how devotees are different than other people. How they're playing a different game. There's a new set of rules by which they live by. So that's the rule that we live by. Okay, I'm not perfect yet, but I'm looking towards perfection. That's my goal. And I'm not saying, well, I can't be perfect because I'm a Mauritian or whatever. I'm a woman, I'm too young, I'm too old. Whatever the reason is, I can't be, I'm going to school, or it's my job, or I was okay before I got married, but now, or we moved in this village, I don't like it. We can't say that. All we can say is, this is where I am, this is the goal, and I need to get there somehow or other. That's the right consciousness. So it's okay if you're down here, that's no problem. But it's not okay if you're down here and you plan to stay down here the rest of your life or for many lifetimes. Because if you're down here, the gates out of the material world are up here. So you've got to get up there sooner or later, right? So just don't think you can stay down here and go back to Godhead, because the door back to Godhead, the gateway, it's up here. It's not down here. So if you just say, this is the way I am, then you have to finish your sentence and say, and therefore, I'm going to be in the material world until I change. Until I think differently. That's what you have to finish your sentence with. We Mauritian people are like this, and therefore, for many lifetimes, we will stay in the material world until we change. Finish your sentence like that. Like, that's reality, right? That makes sense. Just like you're on the airplane and they say, you want veg or non-veg? And I say, they shouldn't say that. They should say, do you want veg or do you want dead animals who are innocently slaughtered and tortured? That's what they should say. Those are your choices. Would you like veg, or would you like a chicken who was taken away from its mother, put in a cage, mercilessly taken care of and cramped, and then whose head was chopped off screaming? That's what they should say. Right? Shouldn't they? Because that's the non-veg sounds so innocent. Right? I'm just a Mauritian, that's how I am. It sounds so innocent, doesn't it? But we have to say, this is how I am, and I'm going to stay in the material world as long as I stay this way, because I can't get to the doorway until I walk up the stairway. Does that make sense? Correct? Satyam hai. Acha hai, satyam hai. Ça c'est bon. Ça c'est bonne idée. Okay, so it's a nice meditation, right? The gateway to Vaikuntha is, it's up here. It's not down here where we are. And that's why we're looking. Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sarapasyanti Surya. The demigods are always looking up to Vishnu, because that's where we're going. So if you say, this is how I am, that means you're looking straight. And that's where you go. You'll continue more of the same. And if you're looking up, then you'll go. Just like, you know, when you drive a car, and you're driving on a windy road, if you just look ahead of you, at the center of the road, while the road's turning, you just keep looking at the center, you automatically will turn. Do you know that? All you have to do, you say, I don't even know how to drive. Just look at this. I taught my daughter how to drive when she was 9 years old. Because we have a big piece of land so we could drive on the... She's having a great time. And then when she was 11, I taught her how to drive a motor scooter. Because we had to buy a motor scooter in Mayapur, because we live a little far away from temple. You have to go shopping and to drive a mile to go shopping or so. So she'd say, can I drive? So I'd let her sit in front, I'd hold on. Then, you know, after a while I'd say, okay, just drive. And then we'd go around curves, and I'd say, when you go around a curve, just look at the center of the road, and automatically you'll follow it. And that's why people drive off the road sometimes, because they're driving and they're looking at a sign or something, and they drive right off the road. Do you know that? If you ever are driving and you'll see a billboard. You have billboards here on the roads? You'll see a billboard, or you'll see something weird or some animal, and you're like, wow, what's that? You drive right towards it. It's true. It's 100% true. I have experience of that. You know, getting sidetracked and then realize I'm driving off the road because I'm staring that way. And then around all these curves, you just stare at the center of the road and you'll follow it. So you stare towards Krishna and the spiritual world, you go there. And you stare towards status quo, staying as you are, and you stay as you are. It's just the way it works. Jai Venurati Devi Dasi. Venurati Didi. Didi means older sister. Right? Hindi? Didi? So Venurati's online. She's signing her name. Venurati Didi. Venurati Devi Dasi. Venurati Didi. So we can call her Didi. Older sister. Oh, okay. So she heard the class, yeah. So, knowing standard is very important. I just did a japa workshop in Oman, the country of Oman, in the city of Muscat. And one of the things that was very clear to me from the response I got from the devotees, and also from my own work as a teacher, is that what I try to show devotees is what is the standard of japa. What is the standard? Because, Hare Krishna, I realize that they don't know. Many don't know. And they think the standard is you take a vow to chant a certain number of rounds and you just get the rounds done. They think that's what japa is. Like, you want to get initiated, you chant 16 rounds. You're starting out, you chant 1 round, or you 2 or 4, and then you're told when you chant, do that number every day. Don't decrease. Maintain it. We all get that instruction. That's the standard. You chant on your japa beads to say, well, at least chant 1 round every day, and don't go below that. And then try to increase. When you feel you can increase, go to 2, go to 4. So that's the instruction. So then, a lot of times what happens is devotees are focused on the number, and they think the number is my success. It's all important is the number. So now I'm up to 4. And they're watching television while they're chanting. But they're chanting 4, so they think, well, I did 4. Right? Or they're reading a book and they're chanting, or they're driving and they're chanting. They're just getting the number done. So then I come to a japa workshop and I say, no, japa is not about the number, it's about your consciousness. It's about praying to the holy name. It's about asking for purity, asking to be uplifted. It's about feeling Krishna. It's about being with Krishna. It's about getting closer to Krishna. And they say, oh, I didn't realize that's what chanting was. I just thought I was supposed to get a number done. Right? And it gets hard when you have 16 and you have to work all day, 8-9 hours. Because 16 rounds takes you about 2 hours. And we all know none of us have much time. Right? So imagine you're not chanting 16. You have a busy day. Now we say chant 16. You have to find 2 hours to chant. So that, you're going shopping. You're buying things. You're doing, email. You can't find the time to finish. You're just, driving. Whatever time you have. Because you didn't get up early enough to chant, so now you have to fit it in. So you're just focused on the number. And I say, no, it's not about the number. You have to get up early and just be with Krishna and pray and be very close to Him. That's what it's about. And then after the workshop, as I said, they'll say, I didn't realize that's what the holy name was. I didn't really realize that's what japa was. I thought, I was just trying to get my rounds done. So we can take that example with anything. To understand what humility is, what forgiveness is, what compassion is, understand it. Then you understand where you are, how far you are from it. But if you don't understand it, how do you know how far you are? You'll think, I'm fine. I'm just like everybody else. But everybody else isn't fine. If everyone else were fine, they wouldn't be in the material world. Right? Now everybody else isn't fine. And I say, well, you shouldn't gossip. Oh, Prabhu, everybody gossips. That's just how we are. Right? Say, no, the standard of a devotee is you talk about Krishna and you glorify devotees. Well, you shouldn't criticize. Oh, Prabhu, everybody does it. It's just how we are. It's just normal. Well, you have to become abnormal now. To become paranormal. Unnormal. Non-normal. So as you understand, okay, the standard is we should appreciate, we should glorify, we should honor. Okay, well, I didn't really realize that's really what you're supposed to do, and that devotees, we shouldn't criticize. I just thought, I didn't even think. That's what I do. Somebody does something wrong, I criticize. That's what everybody does. So I just thought that's normal. So once you learn the standard, then you understand, oh, I wasn't doing it right, and now I can see what's right. And so that's what we have to do. And everywhere in Prabhupada's books, he explains the standard. And then you can ask yourself, how far am I from that standard? Right? How many steps away do I have to go? And you're always looking for that standard. And if you look for that standard, you will realize when you're not following, when you're not on that standard, you will realize it. But if you don't know the standard, you won't realize it. It's true, isn't it? There's a danger in buying something really good. Because once you have it, then any other, let's say you get a really good computer, they sell Macs in Mauritius, Mac computers. So once someone gets a Mac, they'll never buy a PC again. They won't. They're like, PC, it's not even a computer, it's just a toy. Why would you use a PC? It's like that. It's like, so then Mac becomes the standard for computers. Or you have a certain software that's so much better than another software, you can't go back to the other software. Right? So that software, that's useless. So what we're finding in the japa workshops is if devotees take a japa workshop and they improve their japa and they're really chanting good rounds, it's more difficult for them to go back to the way they used to chant, because they realize that it's not effective. It's not as effective. Just like, what if, like, Bhakta, see, Vikash, we have to call him Bhakta Vikash. Bhakti Vikash. Bhakta Vikash. Nice name, right? Bhakta Vikash. Spreading bhakti. Bhakta Vikash just bought a new Honda. Not a new to him, used, right? In 2004, 2006, Honda VTEC, right? What does VTEC mean? It runs on batteries or what? No. No, it doesn't run on batteries. No. Oh. Now let's say his car breaks down. He's got to put it in the shop, but he needs to get to work. And his brother-in-law says, use my car. And his brother-in-law's got a BMW. Now, he's been driving that BMW for 2 weeks and he gets back his Honda. He's not going to like his Honda. It's going to feel weird. Because now he realizes what a real car is. I was in Oman and the devotee took me around in his BMW. And the favorite part of the BMW that I like the most is when you open the door to get out, it stays open. It locks automatically. You know how you open a car door and it just keeps slamming on you and you're trying to get out with a bag and you have to hold it open and you're on a hill. And the BMW, you open the door and it just stays open. I said, so I say, oh, that is just one thing I noticed about it. There's probably 100 things. I go, this is a real car, BMW, open. And you don't, in 1991, we had some friends here. They, I forget their name. They live near Phoenix. That neighborhood, right across the street from Phoenix, there's a neighborhood. They live there. They have a travel agency. And they had a BMW. And they took me to a program once. And 1990, there were still a lot of bad roads then. I don't know about now. There were still a lot of bad roads. And at BMW, I didn't even feel the road. You're just going through all these bad roads. I didn't really feel it. It was like smooth. I said, that's a difference between a BMW and an ordinary car. You're on these bad roads, you hardly feel them. So now you know the standard, right? So you learn how to chant japa properly, or you learn how to behave properly. You have a standard, and it's hard now to go down. And when you go down, you become aware. So I get in the Honda, I go, I'm very aware I'm not in a BMW right now, because I can feel the road, and the door slams on me when I open it. I have to keep it open. So if you know the standard of good japa, when you're not chanting good japa, you're aware of it. If you know the standard of humility, when you're not being humble, you become aware of it. It becomes obvious. Right? You know the standard of how a preparation should be cooked and how it should taste, and it's not cooked that way. When you eat it, you say, no, this was not cooked right. But if you don't know, you go, I come and eat it and I say, it's not cooked right. And you say, that's how we cook it in Mauritius. And I say, that's not how it's supposed to be. And I show you how to cook it, and then you eat it and you say, oh my Govinda, I never tasted this preparation like this. Now I understand what you mean in saying we don't cook it right. And now you go to the temple and you eat that preparation, they serve it at the Sunday feast, and you say, I can't eat it. Why can't you eat it? Because it's not cooked right. But you've been eating it for 20 years, but now I know what it's supposed to taste like. I can't enjoy it. I can't eat it. You understand? Comprend? So, elevate your Krishna consciousness and you'll have a new standard. Yes? So why don't we stop here?